Hello, and welcome to another episode of Pampering Myself podcast. Hello, beautiful people. Today, we're going to dive into something that I think some of us overlook in our everyday busy lives. That is hobbies. Yes, today we're going to talk about hobbies. Remember those, the things we used to do for fun before adulting took over. Where we're going to chat about why having a hobby is so important and how it can actually make our life better in ways you may never expect. Hobbies are an important part of life, no matter how old you are, but they can become especially important during your retirement years. So, participating and finding something you enjoy before you reach those golden years is very critical. So, let's start with the basics. What is a hobby? Really, when you hear the word hobby, you might think of classic things like knitting or stamp collecting, which, by the way, are great hobbies. But it's so much broader than that. A hobby is anything you do just for the pure joy of it. No pressure, no deadlines, no need to monetize it, just something that makes you happy. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but I don't have time for a hobby. Trust me, I get it. Between work, family, and all the other responsibilities we have, it can really feel impossible to carve out time just for yourself. But here's the thing, a hobby doesn't have to take hours of your day. It can be something small, like reading a few pages of a book, doodling in a notebook, or even playing your favorite video game for 20 minutes a day. It's really about finding something that pulls you away from your everyday grind and gives your brain a little breather. And here's an important point I want to clear up. Your hobby doesn't have to be productive. Like, you don't have to be the next Picasso or make money from it for it to count. You know how people always say turning your passion into a side hustle? Well, that's cool if you want to do that. But not everything you love has to become a job. A hobby is just for you and no strings attached. Now, although I say that, I had to learn myself the hard way. Years ago, I started out making costume jewelry. Now, I loved big and unique earrings and bracelets, but I could never find what I liked in the stores. So, on occasions, I would get lucky at events where vendors sold handmade products. So, that's what motivated me into making my own. I enjoy being creative, shopping for different pieces, and seeing what I could come up with. It was relaxing and it gave me pleasure when I created something I was proud of. And people would ask me, hey, where did you get those? Now, eventually, I started making earrings and bracelets for other people. Well, to make a long story short, it took all the fun out of it. It became stressful and costly. So I ended that hobby slash business even for myself. And years later, I decided to pick it back up for the original purpose that I started in the first place, and that was for creating unique items for myself and a form of relaxation. Now, let's talk about different types of hobbies for a second. They can be active, like running, hiking, dancing, or it can become more on the creative side, like painting, cooking, making jewelry, or even writing. Some people find joy in collecting things like vintage records or comic books. Others might prefer a more hands on approach like woodworking or knitting. So there's no right or wrong way, as long as it's something that brings you a little joy. And hey, it's okay to have more than one hobby. I think we sometimes put too much pressure on ourselves to have this grand passion. But hobbies don't have to be that serious. It can be silly and spontaneous, like learning magic tricks or experiments with new recipes in the kitchen, learning how to play an instrument. That sounds fun. But the key is that it's something that you enjoy, something that is yours. So if you're sitting there thinking, I don't really have a hobby, or I'm too busy for one, don't worry. We're going to talk more in this episode about how to find a hobby that works for you, even if it's just a little slice of joy in your day. All right, so now that we know what a hobby is and that it doesn't have to be some big life consuming project, let's talk about why hobbies matter. Like, why should you care about finding one in the first place? Well, buckle up, because the benefits of having a hobby go way beyond just killing time. Hobbies can seriously level up your mental health, your physical health, and even your work life balance. After all, that's what this podcast is all about. First up is mental health. We live in such a fast paced, right now world. So, between work, social media, keeping up with family and friends, it's easy to feel burned out. That's where a hobby can be a game changer. It's like this little oasis of time. You get to focus on something you enjoy for a little while. The rest of the world just melts away. Whether you're planning to bake or paint or even just going for a walk, hobbies give your brain a break from all that noise and the hustle and bustle of everyday life. And the best part, they reduce stress and anxiety. There you go. It's like pressing the reset button of your mind. You ever notice how when you're really into something, whether it's playing the guitar or gardening, you just kind of lose track of time? That's called flow. It's when you're so absorbed in what you're doing that nothing else matters. The state of flow is super good for your mental health because it helps you unplug from all the stresses in life. It's like a mental vacation, but without the plane tickets. Now, speaking of which, let's talk about creativity. Even if your hobby doesn't seem creative at first glance, like say your fitness or coding, there's always an element of creativity when you're doing something you love. Hobbies help your brain think outside the box. And when you're regularly engaging in something fun, you become more innovative and resourceful. And that can spill over into other areas of your life, like work or solving everyday problems. It's like giving your brain a workout, but in a fun way. And here's another thing, hobbies give you a sense of emotional fulfillment. So many of us go through our life checking off boxes. Go to work, check. Pay the bills, check. Do the chores, check. And we forget to do something that's just for us. When you have a hobby, it's like telling yourself, hey, my happiness matters. It reminds you that life isn't just about the grind. There's also joy to be found in the little things. Now let's move on to the physical, because hobbies can impact that too. If you're into something active, like biking, dancing, or yoga, you're obviously getting the benefits of exercise. But even if your hobby isn't traditionally physical, there's still a mind-body connection happening. For example, something like gardening or woodworking might seem like a workout Or it might not seem like a workout, but you're moving your body, getting fresh air, and using your hands, which is super beneficial. Plus, hobbies that have a more calming nature, like knitting or painting, are actually great for reducing blood pressure and improving heart health. Why? Because they reduce stress. It's all connected, and your body will thank you for it. And here's a big one: hobbies help with work life balance. We've all been there, working long hours, taking work stress home, and then not feeling like you have time for anything else. But when you have a hobby you love, it creates this built in boundary between work and personal time. It gives you a reason to close that laptop, step away from the office, and do something purely for fun. And that's huge in avoiding burnout. Not to mention, hobbies actually help you recharge. You might think, I don't have energy for a hobby after work. But it's funny how doing something you enjoy actually gives you energy instead of draining you. It's like a mental reboot. You come back to work or your responsibilities the next day, the next hour, with fresh eyes and more focus because you took the time to reset. And if you're ever in one of those work slumps where it feels like nothing is inspiring or motivating, having a hobby can help break you out of that funk. You'd be surprised how stepping away to focus on something you enjoy can bring back your creativity and productivity in your job. So, yeah, hobbies are not just little time fillers, they're essential for your mental health, your body, and finding balance in your life. And hey, if your hobby also lets you learn new things or improve skills, bonus. So now we've talked about hobbies and how they can boost your mental and physical and help you strike that elusive work balance. But now let's dive into something that might surprise you. Hobbies are great for building social connections. Whether you're a social butterfly or someone who prefers your own space, hobbies have a way of bringing people together. Here's the thing: when you get involved in a hobby, you naturally end up finding people who enjoy the same stuff. And when you connect over something you're passionate about, those interactions feel a lot more genuine, right? It's not like the small talk you make at a networking event. Whether it's talking about the latest book you're reading in a book club, or swapping knitting patterns, or even debating which video game character is better, you're sharing something meaningful. And those shared interests can lead to a real friendship. It makes sense, though, when you're passionate about something, it's easier to find common ground and start conversations. Plus, there's something refreshing about meeting people outside of the usual circles, like work or family, where there's no pressure to perform or fit into a certain mold. And it's not just about meeting people in person either. The internet has totally changed how we connect with people who share our interests. Whatever your hobby is, there's probably an online community for it. Now, the cool part is that these outline communities or these online communities can be just as strong as in person ones. You might be halfway across the world from someone, but if you're both seeking out over the same hobby, then bond can really feel real. I mean, look at how many people have connected over the gaming communities, especially. They start out as strangers teaming up on an online game, and the next thing you know, they're meeting up at conventions or even becoming lifelong friends. Hobbies have a way of cutting through all the surface level stuff and getting right to the heart of what people are passionate about. And for those of you who might be a little bit more introvert, a hobby can be a great way to connect without feeling overwhelmed. Like, if you're not super into going to parties or big social events, Joining a small focus group based on your interests can feel a lot more comfortable. You already have a common topic to talk about, so it takes the pressure off. Plus, if you're doing something like hands on or like taking a pottery class or joining a cooking workshop, the activities itself become a natural conversation starter. Now, I get for some, the idea of putting yourself out there, whether in person or online, might feel a little intimidating. But trust me, hobby communities are some of the most welcoming spaces out there. People are just excited to share what they love and hear from others who feel the same. And I'm sure everyone listening is a part of some type of community. So you don't need to be an expert or even super knowledgeable to join in. Most people are just happy to meet others who are just as enthusiastic about the same thing. Another thing to think about is how hobbies can help you connect with people from different walks of life. It's kind of awesome how something as simple as a shared interest can bring people together that might not normally cross paths. You can be in a chess club with a high school student, a retiree, and a software engineer, and none of that matters because you're all just there to enjoy the game. So, hobbies break down those social barriers that we often get caught up in. So, yeah, hobbies aren't just about spending time on your own, they can also be incredible ways to build new friendships, expand your social circle, and even get out of your comfort zone. And whether you're doing that through a local group or online community, the possibilities are endless. Now, if you've been listening and thinking, okay, all this sounds great, but I don't even know what hobby I'd be into. Don't worry, you are definitely not alone. So many people struggle to find something they truly enjoy, especially if they feel like they're short on time or energy. But here's the good news, there's no wrong way to find a hobby, and you don't have to figure it out all at once. It's more about the journey than the destination. So let's talk about how to discover and nurture a hobby that fits into your life. First of all, think back to when you were a kid. What did you naturally gravitate toward? Maybe you love drawing, riding a bike, or building things with Legos. Something Sometimes the hobbies that we enjoy when we were younger can point us in the right direction as adults. Even if it's been years since you picked up a paintbrush or kicked a soccer ball, those passions might still bring you joy even if you revisit them today. And if nothing from your past jumps out at you, that's totally fine. A great way to start is by exploring things you're curious about. What kinds of activities grab your attention when you're scrolling through social media or on YouTube? Maybe you've always thought it'd be cool to learn photography, or maybe you've been intrigued by people who make their own sourdough bread. Whatever it is, give yourself permission to try it out, even if it's just for fun. Now, here's the trick, start small. You don't have to go all the way and out and get everything you need. Believe me, that could be a costly mistake because I've been there and done that multiple times. If you're interested in painting, you don't need to buy a full set of oils and canvases right away. Maybe start with some basic watercolors or even just a sketchbook. The key is to dip your toes in and see how it feels. If you enjoy it, great. If not, no big deal. You can always try something else. This is where the ideal of trial and error comes in. Not every hobby you try is going to be a perfect fit, and that's okay. Sometimes we try things and realize that's not for us. That's part of the process. It's actually kind of freeing to know it doesn't have to be perfect. You're allowed to mess up or even give up if it's not clicking for you. Think of it as an experiment rather than committing. Another thing to keep in mind is that your hobby doesn't have to be this huge time commitment. We all have busy schedules, so it's important to find a hobby that fits into your life in a way that doesn't feel like another obligation. So 15, 20 minutes a day or something you enjoy can make a big difference in your mood or mental well being. It doesn't have to take over your life to be meaningful. And don't be afraid to try new things. Sometimes we get stuck thinking, oh, I'm just not good or creative at stuff, or I've never been athletic. But those are just stories we tell ourselves. You might be surprised with yourself and enjoy it once you give it a shot. And there are so many resources out there to help you explore whether it's an online tutorial, a local class, or just learning something from a friend who's into something different. Speaking of friends, getting someone else involved can be a great motivator. Trying a new hobby with a friend or a family member can make that whole experience more fun and less intimidating. Plus, it gives you both something new to bond over. So, if you're sitting there feeling a little stuck, I want you to remember that finding a hobby is supposed to be fun, not stressful. Start with what interests you and don't put too much pressure on yourself because the important thing is that you do something for you. Now, it's time to talk about one of my favorite parts of having a hobby: personal growth. Hobbies aren't just about passing the time, they're about discovering new parts of yourself and something even surprising yourself with that you're capable of. So let's get into how hobbies can help you learn new skills, build confidence, and bring a little more meaning into your life. First off, let's talk about developing skills. One of the coolest things about diving into a hobby is that it gives you the chance to learn something new, often without the pressure of having to be perfect at it. Whether you're learning to play an instrument, experimenting with photography, or trying your hand at carpentry, hobbies give you a space to build skills in a low stakes way. And that's the best part. It's totally self driven. You get to go at your pace, follow your own curiosity, and just enjoy the process of getting better over time. Now, it's kind of amazing how starting something small, like learning a few chords on a guitar or following a simple recipe, can evolve into a real sense of accomplishment. And every little win, every small step forward boosts your confidence. You start to realize, hey, I can actually do this. That feeling of mastering something, even in a hobby, can spill over into other areas of your life. It makes you feel more confident, more open to challenges, and more willing to step outside your comfort zone. I think what makes hobbies so special is that they give you a way to express yourself without judgment. There's no boss, no deadlines, no need to meet everyone's expectations. It's just you doing something you love in your own way. And for a lot of people, that's a huge form of self care. It's about connecting with yourself on a deeper level, exploring your creativity, and maybe even discovering sides of yourself you didn't know existed. Have you ever started a hobby and said, wow, I didn't know I'd be good at this, or I didn't expect this so much? That's what I'm talking about. Hobbies let you explore new identities and uncover hidden talents. Even if you don't end up being an expert at it, just trying something new can open up new ways of thinking and approaching life. And it doesn't stop there. Hobbies also give you a sense of accomplishment. Whether you're finishing a painting, knitting a scarf, or completing a marathon, that feeling of I did this is an incredibly rewarding. It's a reminder that you're capable of setting goals and seeing it through. And that sense of pride and accomplishment is so valuable. It reminds you that life isn't just about checking off those to-do lists. It's about moments where you create, explore, and grow. And finally, let's talk about those golden years. I like to share an article written online by Integrate Care with respect to seniors. Retirement marks the close of one chapter and the dawn of another. Yet many seniors find themselves pondering over the past when the present has so much to offer. One such offering is the opportunity to take up a new hobby. The article goes on to inform us our mental faculties require just as much as our physical ones, and the principle of use it or lose it applies as much to the brain as it does to the muscle. And the article goes on to reference several benefits. I'll read. Number one, physical advantages, which enhance mobility and dexterity. For example, a waltz class can strengthen the legs, gardening can improve hand and eye coordination, and yoga can amplify flexibility. With each movement, seniors tell their bodies that age is no barrier and the body reciprocates with improved mobility and grace. Physical hobbies serve as a shield against numerous age related ailments. Regular physical activity can mitigate the risks of osteoporosis, keep arthritis at bay, and promote overall wellness. It's a holistic approach where the journey to wellness is as enjoyable as the destination. Number two, the social perks. Meeting new friends, shared passions from the strongest bonds. It could be the shared silence of a reading club, the rhythmic movements of a dance class, or the collective awe of nature hike. Such experiences not only provide new friendships, but also enrich existing ones. There's a unique magic in sharing stories and experiences. When these tales revolve around a shared hobby, the bond deepens. It's a bridge of mutual passion that connects hearts and fosters deeper understanding. Number three, the holistic health benefit. Engaging in activities one loves can be therapeutic experience. Activities like knitting, gardening, or even bird watching can be meditating, helping to reduce stress and anxiety. In an era where mental health is critical, hobbies can act as a cushion, providing solace and mental relaxation. So, taking up hobbies, especially those that involve creating, can give seniors a sense of leaving a legacy behind. Be it writing a memoir, crafting, or planting a garden, these creations can be handed down, serving as cherished memories for loved ones. It provides a tangible sense of contribution, leaving an imprint for future generations to admire. Life's twilight years needn't be a time of slowing down. With a new hobby, they can be a time of rediscovery, of new passions and renewed zest for life. The golden years offer a canvas, and hobbies provide the plateau to paint a vibrant, fulfilling life. So, why let those moments slip away? Dive deep into a new passion and watch as the joys of life unfold anew. So, to wrap up this episode, we now understand the importance of hobbies for all ages, physically and mentally. Where you're just starting out or have been doing your hobby for years, remember that it's more than just a pastime. It's a path to personal development, self expression, confidence, and wellness. All right, we covered a lot today, but before we go, let's do a quick recap of why hobbies matter and how they can bring more joy and balance to your life. We've talked about what hobbies are, how they can benefit your mental and physical health, how they connect you with others, and how they help you grow as a person. At the end of the day, hobbies are more than just fun distractions. They're key to living a fulfilling and balanced life. If you don't already have a hobby, I encourage you to spend some time this week exploring what interests you. Start small, try different things. Don't put pressure on yourself to find the perfect fit right away. Remember, this is about doing something just for you, for the joy of it. Whether it's something creative, active, or just plain fun, the right hobby can bring you more peace, purpose, and a sense of accomplishment, and ultimately wellness. And hey, if you already have a hobby you love, keep making time for it. Your hobby is a way to recharge, connect, and keep growing. It's an important part of your life, even if it's just 20 minutes a day. Thanks for hanging out with me today and for talking all things hobbies. I hope you've gotten a little inspiration to either rediscover an old passion or dive into something new. Well, that's it for today's episode. Be sure to subscribe and share this episode with anyone you might think need a little push to pick up a hobby. Until next time, take care of yourself and don't forget to make time for what makes you happy. And as always, don't forget to pamper yourself.